And welcome to the January 4th, 2022 Tyngsborough School Committee meeting. Please be reminded that these meetings are video and audio recorded. And we'll start with introductions to my left.
Grace Chambly, Student Representative.
Rob Mullen.
Good evening, Mark Franco, Assistant Superintendent.
Hi, Mike Flanagan, Superintendent.
I'm Becky Stanton.
Jeff Bowe.
Anthony Farrell.
Joe Messina, Business Administrator.
Rise to the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We'll start with the approval of minutes. I'll seek a motion to approve the December 14th, 2021 Policy Subcommittee meeting minutes, the December 14th, 2021 Capital Asset Subcommittee meeting minutes, and the December 14th, 2021 School Committee meeting minutes.
I'll make the motion. I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
That carries 4-0-0. Moving on to citizen time. We have no citizens here. We can move on to correspondence. Dr. Flanagan?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. In your drive, you will find the updated quarantine protocols. I did put that out to the entire community, as well as the staff recently, but the significant change there is students and staff are no longer required to quarantine for 10 days if they are in close contact. They can quarantine for 5 days and then return to school wearing a mask. Additionally, if someone tests positive, they can return to school after 5 days if they're asymptomatic, but will need to wear a mask for the next 5 days. So beneficial in terms of getting people back into our schools at a quicker rate. I know that you saw, I'm sure you've seen, the CDC came out with this over the winter break. DESE modified it moderately and adopted it. Mass DPH is on board. So it's better for us to keep kids in school, obviously, and we're following all those guidelines. So that is in there. It has been pushed out to the community, and it's available on our webpage as well.
Great, thank you. I don't know, go ahead.
Question on them? They are still all wearing masks, though?
Yeah, yes. Yeah.
Okay,
Yes, yep.
just wanted to clarify that one.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Personnel. We have a notification of new hire, Jacqueline Richardson, Communications and Media Director. And a notification of resignation, our very own Dr. Mark Branco, Assistant Superintendent. Congratulations, Mark. Good luck.
Thank you.
Share the success, Grace.
Okay. At TES, everyone celebrated the retirement of Miss Vincent after 34 years, all in grade 3. Her smile, laugh, positivity, and heart of gold will all be missed. TES staff will spend this week reestablishing and reteaching routines to anchor students as they learn and grow by providing striped reminders in the classrooms, hallways, at lunch and recess, and when riding the bus. TMS had a great week prior to the holiday break with door decorating and hot chocolate, and the students were very excited for their breaks. The THS and TMS band performed the week leading into the holiday break as students arrived within their schools. And at THS, the robotics team has begun to meet twice a week in preparation for the spring competition. BioBuilder held a fundraiser for the homemade conductive Play-Doh as a stocking stuffer. Congratulations to Nick Anselmo, Angelis Boulez, Brianna Barato, and Mia Kilman on Student of the Month. And congratulations to the members of the class of 22. They have received their acceptance letters. And all 3 schools wish Tyngsborough families a happy, healthy new year.
Thanks, Grace.
Thank you, Grace.
Subcommittee updates. There are none at this time. And moving on to unfinished business. Dr. Flanagan.
Thank you. So pull up the slide deck. Run through some information. So the TMS building project, as you are aware, Madam Chair and Co-Chair Tenorella, that the school building committee meeting scheduled for tomorrow night has been canceled. Essentially, we're in a holding pattern right now. At the last meeting in December, the school building committee voted on a final design. Right now, that design is out at the estimator, so we will get a better projection of what the cost will be. So we'll know a little bit more about that in, I believe, early February. So our next school building committee meeting is scheduled for January 19th. And I think part of that meeting, we're going to discuss what the campaign to the community looks like, and the information campaign, and how we begin to start to promote this project. We won't have hard numbers at that time. We are talking about a white paper. We are working with left field, and JCJ, who's the architectural firm, to design some kind of computer-friendly, phone-friendly link PDF so that we can get the word out through social media. Additionally, we have talked about a mailer to everyone in the community at some point, so we will provide information once we finalize what this information is going to look like. But we are working with our professionals right now to work out the design and go forward. We think late January is probably the time to start talking about this and having parents learn more about it and do community outreach and coffees and those types of things. So more information will come after our January 19th meeting, so stay tuned for that. And as you know, today, I believe the town hall released today that the town election will be on May 17th. So the discussion was town meeting will be 2 weeks before that. So right now, we're projecting a May 3rd town meeting, of which we'll need a 2/3 vote from the community to support the project, at least get it to a ballot, and then the ballot question will be on May 17th to support the project. So that's still a timeline. The timeline hasn't changed. Really, we're having conversations now about the marketing and getting information out there. And that's all I have for the school building project. COVID update. I talked to you already about the DPH DESI guidance regarding quarantine. A couple other initiatives from the state. They did deliver KN95 masks. They made those available to all educators in the district, so all of our educators can have a new KN95 mask every day for the next month of school. So those are available right now in every main office. Each teacher can pick up their pack of 5 at the beginning of the week, so we appreciate DESI's support with that. Additionally, I'm sure you heard or saw in the news all the information about the rapid test kits that were made available. Originally, as of last Thursday, town of Tyngsborough, we were supposed to get 270 test kits. There was a supply chain issue, a vendor issue, so the DESI had to scramble. Fortunately, we were able to get 180 test kits. Each test kit contained 2 tests. So we put the word out to our entire staff. Anyone on our staff who wanted a test kit, they need to let us know. We had about 143 staff sign up, and actually 156 staff came by on Sunday to pick up their test kit and administer the test. So we had about 24 extra test kits, or 48 tests. We divided those up. We put it out to anyone who wasn't able to come by Sunday, and we had another 36 individuals pick up staff, so pick up tests at that point. So we do have a dozen or so rapid tests left that we will use for targeted prioritized staff. Somebody who works one-on-one with the students, somebody who's in a sub-separate program that with students who can't wear masks. So we'll use those with some discretion and put those out as well. But we're appreciative for the state to provide those opportunities for our staff. There were a lot of conversations and questions about, what the impact on attendance would be. Just wanted to provide you some quick numbers this week. TES attendance. Monday, we had 89% of the students present at TES, and today we had 90%. TMS, 90% of the students were present on Monday, 92% present today. THS, 87% present on Monday, and 83% present today. Additionally, the last bullet on this, Commissioner Riley meeting. We are anticipating, we were told in December over break that the commissioner would come out at some point in early January, I don't know exactly what that means, but in early January, to discuss the mask requirements. As you know, the original mandate said it was extended through January 15th. We anticipate over the next week, within the next week, there should be some notification from the commissioner on what that's going to look like. Given the nature of where things are right now and the spread of Omicron and seeing where the numbers are going, I can't imagine that the discussion would be to pull the masks off, but I don't know. So stay tuned for that, and I'll keep you informed as I know more. COVID-19 update. Again, I don't necessarily need to read the numbers to you. You can see where we are with active cases, 33 active cases in the schools currently. You can see the number of students we've had in quarantine this week in total. And our active quarantine is 23. So 33 active cases, 23 active quarantines at this point. Noteworthy on this slide is the high school vaccination rate. The staff and students, we were kind of hovering at 70% for a long time. We're at 74%. So we're making our way towards that 80% threshold that DESI had established for January 15th. Now, I know that's not necessarily in play at this point, But if the timeline gets pushed out, I don't know if the 80% is going to slide at all. So the closer we get to that 80% to removing masks when the time is appropriate, the better off we're going to be. So just some information for the community. Go to the next slide. Again, just some more data points for you in terms of positivity rate. You can see where the trend is locally for the town, up to 12.97% as of December 30th. Test and stay, I can't rant and rave enough about test and stay. We've been able to administer 1,144 tests to our kids, 1,100 school days protected for kids by this program. So that's great in terms of kids not having to quarantine, be at home when they could be in school because they're negative. So very pleased with our test and stay program and numbers. The last bullet point I have up there is impacted, obviously, is because of COVID, is there was a vote by the athletic directors and then the principals of the Midland Wachusett League about spectators and spectator policy for athletics. And it was decided yesterday that only immediate household family members would be allowed to attend games. So mom, dad, brothers, sisters, whomever. Only immediate household family members would be allowed to attend games. And you can see it, those votes went 22-1 and 25-1.
Dr. Flanagan, who was the one, or if you know, who was the one? Okay,
I do know, because both those lone votes are Tyngsborough.
okay.
Ms. Palumbo voted against it, and Mr. Ogden voted against it, and I actually support their decision. I don't know what the metrics are we're using to determine keeping spectators out of games. I also believe that if they're in schools, they're wearing masks. If they're not in schools, they're not necessarily wearing masks. So I actually support the fact that people can come to support these kids at these games. I think we've been through a lot, and I think we can manage it. We should manage it. So those are both Tyngsborough votes opposing this.
Madam Chair, if I may. Does that include students or just, like, can our students attend these
No,
games?
our students
Just
cannot,
immediate family?
just immediate family. So if you recall, let's go back a little bit. Last winter, parents couldn't attend. So our parents were watching boys basketball, girls basketball, hockey, you pick it. They were watching it on the live stream network we had. Okay, this year, it's been open to winter sports the whole time. Now, because of where the numbers are trending, a decision was made by these ADs and principals to restrict capacity or attendance to immediate family only. So right now, immediate family can come, but students cannot. Last year, as the season went on, once we got to spring sports, it started with just families, and then it opened up to student body as well. So my hope is that we assess this, and the plan is to assess this again in a few weeks here in January, and understand where the numbers are going and make another decision. So I'm hopeful at that point they can open it back up to spectators and students, so that the spring will be unimpacted and that all people can go in the spring. But that's where we are right now. So that's all I have for COVID update and unfinished business. So the Valley lease extension, we'll move on to 9A if that's okay.
That's great. Keep going.
The Valley lease extension. So as you know, the Valley lease, we were one caveat of away from completing the entire project over there. And the last thing we needed to complete was Phase 2 of the window project. Phase 2 of the window project was scheduled to be done this past summer. So 2 years of building up our revenue to do it this past summer. However, giving some cost overruns on Phase 1 of the project, plus cost overruns on the HVAC system, coupled with supply chain issues and a significant increase in costs for labor and construction, it became untenable for us to address the windows at this point. We feel as though we're going to be chasing our tail on this, and the further it goes out, the more expensive the project becomes. So we had a conversation and worked out with Valley Collaborative a way that we think benefits both Valley Collaborative, the Lakeview School, and the town of Tyngsborough. So the proposal is this. If we can extend their lease by 3 years on the back end at a 47% rate increase, and we charge Valley Collaborative $1 of rent for the next 2 years, the Valley Collaborative will front-load the $530,000 right now to complete the window project. So you can see that the annual lease with Valley is $255,000 a year. So essentially, we're going to charge them $1 for the next 2 years. They'll front-load the money, get the windows done now, so that we can put that project to bed, provide those kids and those teachers a better learning environment over there with much better windows that protect the AC and keep the heat out. And at the end, by adding 3 years on, we get a rate increase, which will bring more revenue to the Tyngsborough Public Schools as well. This is something that Mr. Messina and I worked extensively with the Valley Board of Directors and Executive Director Chris Scott on. We all want the same thing. We all want to do what's best for those kids and our community, and we're all looking to take care of each other, and we think this is a way that everyone gets a win and gets a project done right now. So my hope is, Mr. Messina, what did I miss?
Nothing. I just would agree with you that I think Valley has been a good partner for us in renovating that building so far. They've already contributed $1.4 million towards the renovations at that building.
At no cost to Tyngsborough taxpayer?
Correct. That's out of their own pocket. That's not including the lease money that they pay to us. That was their investment into our building. This front loading to get the windows done this year, again, it gives their staff the benefit of getting the project complete this summer, and they were willing to do that, basically giving us 2 years of rent this summer so we can get those windows done quicker for them. So I think they've been a great partner in this. I think that them agreeing to the 3 additional years with the 47% bump up is great for us as well. And once we get these windows done for them, we can go back into what the lease money does is provide us some capital funding for school projects, and that's something that we've had some discussions with Town Hall in terms of what does that mean for the middle school project, and can we use some of that revenue going forward as the middle school project progresses. So I think it's a great deal that Dr. Scott at Valley has been in agreement for us to do, and as the superintendent said, it's been something it's been on our radar for a number of years. So to get it moving forward and getting off the radar would be great.
So we're happy to answer any questions about it.
Any questions?
If I may, Madam Chair, I'd just like to, when the original lease that Dr. Flanagan negotiated with them to get that building done, we will have a brand-new building, brand-new parking lot, new windows, new roof, new HVAC, new everything, on a building that probably would otherwise sit empty. I think this is a no-brainer. I think we could use the money in the future, and to secure a tenant in there for the next 10 years is worth every penny.
And not just that, but a tenant that's keeping many of our students in town.
In town.
Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And saving us money there.
Absolutely.
So, thank you, Dr. Flanagan, and if you need a motion to approve.
Yeah, so I will, I'll seek a motion to approve the second amendment to the Valley lease agreement with the town of Tyngsborough and authorize the chair to sign.
I will make that motion.
I'll second it.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That carries 400. Thanks. Moving on to the budget timeline overview.
I will actually punt this to Mr. Messina.
Thank you, Dr. Flanagan. So in terms of the budget timeline, as the superintendent presents here, we do have a budget subcommittee meeting scheduled on January 11th at 7 o'clock next Tuesday. And basically, the superintendent will always talk about the 3 big rocks in the district. I like to use that for our 3 big rocks of your budget, and that is the salaries of the current staff, the out-of-district tuitions, and transportation. Those 3 numbers make up the huge majority of your budget. So getting those 3 examined at the beginning gives us a very good foothold as we begin to develop the smaller pieces of the budget. So at the meeting on January 11th, we'll have some numbers on all three of those items, and we can discuss where we go forward with in terms of dates. On the January 18th meeting, I'm confident that we can present the preliminary expense side of the budget to the full school committee meeting. February 10th, we have our bid opening for regular ed transportation. Hearing some scary numbers from other districts in terms of what the bids are being opened at in terms of a % increase. We'll have a pretty deep discussion about that at the budget subcommittee meeting in terms of what that may look like. On the 15th of February, we'll have a initial budget presentation, the higher end, with some preliminary revenue. Once we have the expenses pretty much locked in, we can start to look at our revenue sources and see where the budget looks as we work towards a balanced budget. And then, as the superintendent noted, during February and March, there'll be some discussion with Town Hall regarding ARPA funding as how that may backfill the CARES money that is now fully expended. And we will look at our two grants, ESSER 2 and ESSER 3, in terms of what we can continue to hold going forward into the upcoming budget years. And March 15th, hopefully we can have the school committee meeting there and have a final budget recommendation to the full school committee. So that's open for any questions or comments.
I think the only thing I'd add to that, Mr. Messina, is at some point we talked about having a presentation or inviting the finance committee in it at some point, so I think we need to keep that on the radar. I don't know exactly when the timing of that's going to occur, and I'm sure there's going to be a tri-board in there at some point, or one or two at least, to discuss this as well. But I know that I think historically it's served us well to have the finance committee come to one of our meetings so that we can present. So just something we need to keep on the radar and have a conversation about.
Yeah, and we can talk about it in the subcommittee meeting, and I can reach out to Mr. Crawford and find out their availability.
Great.
9C.
So, no, we're good with budget, awesome. Great. Assistant Superintendent Search Process and Timeline. So, those of you who don't know, congratulations to Dr. Branco, who was recently appointed and negotiated a contract with the Rockport Public Schools to become the superintendent of schools in Rockport. And we're joking about the beautiful ocean view he'll have and the beach passes he'll get and all that kind of fun stuff. Certainly Mark has done a phenomenal job for us the past 6 years. Has been certainly an integral part of our administrative team. He's going to be very difficult to replace him. That being said, we need to start thinking ahead about what we're going to do. So it's interesting, the assistant superintendent appointment by Mass General Law. I'm fascinated by it, and I wish I knew the history behind the language on this law. I don't. I know that the school committee hires the superintendent, the business manager, director of student services, and the school physician. The school committee has to approve the recommendation of an assistant superintendent by the superintendent. My guess is at some point somebody forced a relative into a position somewhere along the way, but I don't know that. So basically how the process works is I would have a process where we go through, we post it, we have candidates come in, and then I would make a recommendation to this committee for your approval. You could certainly deny the approval, at which point I could ask you to provide in writing why you denied the approval. That's not how we operate, that's not how we do things here in Tyngsborough. So I would ask that, through the chair, that if you could, whether it's you or a designee, could appoint somebody to serve on the committee with me so that there is school committee representation throughout the process. I think that is the most logical way to go so that we can come here as a unified front. So.
Sure, yeah, and I appreciate the offer for a member of the committee to join. I would love to participate in the process. I think that's a great collaboration. We always work well together.
So that being said, if we go to the next slide, this is the tentative process that I drafted now. I think if we go, obviously I'll screen the applicants. will bring 3 to 5 candidates before an assistant superintendent interview committee. The committee will then make a recommendation for 1 or 2 candidates that will receive a second interview with the central office personnel who they'll be working with. And then that candidate, the top choice, will be recommended to the full school committee. For a timeline, preliminary timeline, I think if we post at the end of January, give it 2.5, 3 weeks for people to apply. After February vacation, have preliminary interviews, have a final interview on March 7th because we have a school committee meeting scheduled for March 8th. It would be nice to have it done. I think that's going to be integral to moving forward throughout the budget development process, as well as we start thinking about what PD is going to look like next year and where we are in our curriculum review cycles. Certainly, we want to have a candidate in place by mid-March so that Dr. Branco and the new candidate can talk about transition and what that looks like and begin having conversations about continuity and services and continuity program for our kids. So that's what we're thinking right now for a process. We think it's logical, we think it makes sense, and that's where we're going to go. So once we formalize what the committee will look like, we see what the applicant pool is, we'll have further conversations about this down the road, and I imagine I'll be providing further updates to you in March.
Have you had any, even before posting it, I mean, it's public knowledge that Dr. Branco has accepted a role.
Yes.
Have you had any
Yes,
potential candidates reach out? Yeah.
yes,
Okay.
several. Several phone calls. So,
Okay.
I think we'll have a very talented pool
Okay,
to
that's
choose
great.
from. So,
Madam Chair,
Sure.
should we make a motion to appoint you to the interview committee? Do we need to do that? I would think so, but,
I don't think it hurts.
I don't think it hurts either.
so I would make a motion to appoint Becky to the interview committee.
I'll second it.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That carries 4-0-0.
And thank you for
Thank you.
being part of that.
My pleasure.
Thank you. So we'll go to the next slide. So the big bullet on here is not a bullet. It's the last text in red. We have to have some conversations, I think. This is our upcoming schedule, and we're okay through February. But given that the town election just got moved, and we had a full PD day the Tuesday before that, I think our calendar is going to be a little off. So right now, if you think about May 3rd is town meeting, May 10th is a scheduled full-day PD day for the Tyngsborough Public Schools based on what used to be the town election, and then May 17th is the town election. So we need to move that May 10th school day, I believe. Additionally, given where we are now, that there's an earlier town meeting, for the sake of having a budget finalized and in place, we may want to look at our regular school committee meetings to make sure that we're meeting enough and having enough conversations. So what I'd like to do is look at the school committee calendar as well as the school calendar and come back on January 18th with some recommendations. But I just want to get in front of it right now that, given the shift in May and some of our timelines, some of our typical timelines, what we've done in the past may not make sense for the future. So I want to come back to the committee with some recommendations.
I wanted to add on to that with, the last 2 years, the election has been postponed due to COVID. And with that, it gave us extra time to go through the evaluation process for Dr. Flanagan. This year, typically what I've, in my time here, I've seen that we want the school committee that's been in place all year to perform that evaluation. So we will need to accelerate this process a little bit. So you'll find that even though the fiscal year is not over, at the will of the subcommittee, which we haven't had that meeting yet, we'll have that before the next meeting, we probably will start that process a little bit early.
That makes sense.
And I think it's only fair to Dr. Flanagan that the individuals on this committee evaluate him before the election.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
So,
I appreciate that. So we'll look at that as well. So I'll make so the 3 modified calendars we'll come back with.
Sure.
One will be my evaluation timeline as well. Excellent.
And sorry, can I also add, at the last meeting, we discussed the policy subcommittee update of the next sections of the policy the new policy guide coming out. We do have till Friday to get any questions to Dr. Flanagan, because the hope is to vote on those new sections next meeting, on the 18th, and then to do a first read on the subsequent sections.
Correct. Correct.
Sorry, I'm good.
No, great.
All right. Moving on to item number 10, finance. Mr. Messina?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Tonight, 11 bill warrants were presented to the committee. In your drive is a list of warrant numbers, accounts, and amounts. For signing of payroll, in your drive is the last two payrolls, the December 20th pay date, as well as the January 3rd pay date, for warrant numbers, accounts, and amounts. And that is all I have tonight for finance.
School committee discussion. Grace?
I'm all set.
Rob?
Just like to welcome everyone back. Hope everyone had a great 1-week break, and looking forward to getting the year started again, and hope everyone stays safe.
I'm good, thank you.
I'm all set, thank you.
Again, congratulations to Dr. Branco
Thank you.
on your appointment to superintendent. Well deserved, and we're all happy for you, for sure. Happy New Year to everybody, and let's be safe and healthy.
All set, thank you.
Dr. Flanagan?
Just be on the lookout for school building committee information coming down the pike soon.
Thank you. And with that, we have no need for executive session tonight. And so I'll seek a motion to adjourn.
Make the motion?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That carries 4-0-0. We're adjourned. Thank you.